Yes, I know. Not bad, huh? Did it myself.
He did.
Did it myself.
With a big clipper.
Yeah. So I'm really pleased. I needed a change. And of course, one now feels 29.
Someone did say, well, several people have said how much younger he looks. So yeah,
I think it does when the face is framed and you can't see the real hairline. That's the difference. That's what happens. It does make one look younger. Although some of us, of course, can carry that off.
Not me.
No.
Though it has to be said that halfway through he was channeling Deirdre Barlow.
Yeah,
Deirdre Barlow.
There's a fine line with a pixie cut between looking like your Auntie Barbara and looking young and trendy like I do.
Young and trendy. Oh, dearie.
But there we are.
Yeah.
One can't help have natural glamour and sophistication.
Oh, I can. I can help that. Yeah. Yeah. I don't have any of it. No. I've got a little bit of sophistication,
Stop
I suppose.
talking about yourself, Paul. God, so selfish sometimes. It's all about me, remember?
Yeah, it is,
Let's get on with the show, shall we? Welcome to the show, which is called
Sunday Chat!
And it's a bloody cold Sunday chat today.
Oh, it is.
I'm frozen.
I'm
frozen. My hands are frozen. I have my first scarf of the season, which is a linen number.
I think you only gave up on scarves about 3 weeks ago, though, didn't you?
No, I didn't. I've not worn scarves for months.
There we are.
It's been rather pleasant, but today is cold and wet. But more on that in a moment. So welcome to the show and welcome to our channel. And if you're new here, we are Richard and Paul from London. That's right. And this is a weekly show called Sunday Chat.
Sunday Chat!
Which Paul likes to shout.
Well, it's what I do. Yeah.
It's what he does.
Yeah.
It's the only thing he does.
Every time we say London on camera, it always goes back in my head. I always go Londinium.
Well, that's what I call it, London.
I know, but it always goes back to, you know, the original name. Well, it wasn't the original name, wasn't it? But
what was the original name?
I don't know. It wasn't Londinium. It was something else. And the capital was the capital Norwich at one point or something.
Wasn't it?
It's sort of gone
Chichester
around.
Or something?
Yeah, gone around the country.
I don't know. I'm sure you'll tell us. Thank you. So yes, we're here on YouTube every week. But you can also follow us on our social media in the form of our Facebook page, Richard and Paul, or our Facebook group, Planet Vegetaria. That's a Facebook group by Richard and Paul. Richard and Paul since 2017. That's contractual.
Gosh, that is a long time, isn't it? 2017.
Yeah. It is a long time. We were discussing that earlier, and the one thing that we need to sort of mention at the moment is money, YouTube money, because it's fallen through the floor.
Yeah, Vivi was saying this the other day on her channel, and I know various other people are saying the same.
Yeah.
It's I think it's because more people are watching shorts on YouTube than they are watching long form videos.
But why would that affect our statistics? We get the same number of views. We get the same number of views per month.
But I think I was talking to a person who sells advertising space this week, and he said they're placing more adverts on shorts only, and the price of YouTube ads, long form, are coming down. I mean, it's supply and demand, you know.
Well, yeah, really. I don't give a damn what it is. What it is unfair to those of us who've worked pretty hard over the years to try and build a fan base. And it's been particularly difficult for us, I have to say. You know, maybe we're doing the wrong thing. Maybe we're creating the wrong type of content. But We do what YouTube always says you should do.
Well, no, we do us.
Be consistent.
Yeah.
Do you.
Yeah.
Give your audience what they want and just keep on doing it. And that's what we've been doing for quite a number of years.
That's really what an employer says to its staff, isn't it? Just work hard, carry on doing it, we'll all benefit, blah, blah, blah. And then actually what happens very often in a company is the bosses get richer and other people who work for them earn proportionally less than their bosses, blah, blah, blah.
That's right.
Yeah. The corporate world. The world of work. That's what it is, I suppose. The world of work.
But this isn't even minimum wage.
Oh, good God, no.
It's a tiny, tiny amount of money in comparison
to the hours put in. Yeah.
So, it kind of isn't... I mean, nobody ever said you could make a living out of YouTube.
No, some people do, of course.
Some people do. Goodness knows how.
Well, we were always looking at just earning that little bit extra from you going part-time rather than full-time.
And the reason there is focus now is because I'm on my transition period back to part-time, having worked for the past
18 months.
Almost full-time. And it's been very much needed with the cost of living crisis, but now I'm at the stage where I want my time back, so I'm transitioning back. So therefore we're kind of looking at the amount of money we have coming in, and the whole point of doing YouTube, as Paul just said, was to try and make that sort of shortfall of around £300 to £400 a month. To make from YouTube, and we were doing really well. We were hitting our goal last year, last year. We were kind of getting to the stage where we were earning £300 a month. It's way down on that now. It's at least half of that now.
Which is why we're so thankful for coffee subscribers.
Yes, we are.
Who are an absolute joy and boon for us.
Absolutely amazing.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you to everyone, and thank you particularly to coffee subscribers.
But it does. I'll be entirely honest with you. You don't tend to feel as though you're being rewarded. And when we were earning sort of £350 a month, we were like, yeah, it's worth it because it pays a bill, and it's that extra bit of cash that we really need in order to live. And that's great. You feel as though you're doing something, you're getting a little bit of cash for it, you're being rewarded accordingly.
And engaging with other people.
And it's all kind of worthwhile. The engagement will always be worthwhile.
Yeah.
The community that we've built up over the years, albeit a small one, is worthwhile, and we love hearing from you. It's an absolute pleasure. Sunday mornings, because this goes out midnight on a Saturday, Sunday mornings is almost like, it's like a little Christmas morning, because you're unwrapping all these little gifts that people have given you in the form of comments. And I always look forward to that, always, But as time goes on and we see the money coming down, you do question whether it's worth it.
Well, in terms of man hours, it's definitely not. In terms of engagement,
That's what I've just said, Paul.
Yeah, no, you just said.
Just repeating what I've said.
Yeah.
So sometimes it's a little bit demoralising.
Yeah, and this year there's been quite a few things at the plot as well, and in the garden, that have been a bit demoralising. But
there's constant things.
But we can go on.
I'm demoralised about that bloody drain pipe that our builder Simon fixed yesterday. And today has rained, and it's not working properly. So we're going to need to get him back.
When the original work was done, we had very old metal gutters, and they needed to be changed. So most of them have been changed, and there's been a few off and on issues, and he's always come back and sorted it, which has been great. But yeah, I think it needs a bigger job on that. And I was just sitting here before, it was heavy rain, and I thought, what's that shoot of water going out into the garden? Where's that coming from? And I had a look, and yeah, there's a sort of leak in the old pipework, which is sort of causing
There's a
spray
leak in the
to
new
go out.
pipework as well. At the top, it's just
So,
pouring
yeah.
out, so it's not fitted.
And it's sort of like, you know.
Oh, it's always something. So that brings us on to Richard and Paul's weather report.
It's raining.
Oh, it's absolutely chucking it down. It's been really, really wet. It's wet, cold and dull.
Today, it's been wet today.
It was wet yesterday.
Well, there was a little
rained.
bit of rain, but today it's been sort of raining and drizzling, heavy drizzle for over 6 hours now.
Yeah.
And I heard it at 4 o'clock in the morning. This is now about 3 on Saturday afternoon. So, yeah, it's been incessant, absolutely incessant. We've had a bit of rain throughout the week. But as I say, on a week at the plot, when I've been down at the plot and it has rained overnight, the ground is still dry. We've had a breeze throughout the week, haven't we? A really drying breeze, quite strong as Storm Lily, was it?
I can't remember.
I think Storm Lily has gone over, or not over, but above us and past us, giving us strong winds, and it's been a really drying wind. So even though there has been some rain, and I've been watering every other day with tomatoes and things like that, the ground is just parched. So this will be great for the allotment, but also because the ground in many places is quite baked, it will just be running off. You know, it could cause flooding in places. Well, yeah, but you know, we wouldn't want to be flooded, would we? I mean, we're unlikely to be here because we're on such a steep hill anyway. But yeah. And the week ahead, no rain. No rain,
No
or
rain,
very little rain.
And back to summer temperatures
Yeah.
at the end of the week.
Yeah, I mean, I was surprised this morning, so we always ask our little electronic friend, or I do in the morning, what the weather's going to be that day. And I think today is a high of 17 and a low of 8 degrees, which for this time of year in the UK, where we live,
Very rare.
is very rare. You know, you're usually in your sort of 20s and above 20, and the nighttime temperatures are usually 12, 13, somewhere around that, 14 potentially. So to go sub 10 degrees is very, very unusual for us at this time of year. Yeah.
It's not, I mean, it's feeling quite humid.
Well, it is with the rain, absolutely, yeah. So what you're saying is the warmth is there.
It's feeling quite humid if you're doing stuff, if you're doing the chores around the house, you get a bit of a glow on quite quickly. But sitting here doing nothing, reading a book or whatever, my feet are cold. Anyway, what has the week been like, Paul? What's the working week been like? Well, my working week was rather short this week because I had Thursday and Friday off.
It was.
I'm getting them used to me not being there at work. I'm transitioning back to part-time at the moment throughout August and September, with the aim to go back to part-time hours in October. But I've actually taken quite a lot of time off in September. Yes.
Yeah.
Seeing as it's my birthday month, and
Yeah.
I'll be 39
again.
Yeah, what's the working week been like for you, Paul? Because for me it was relatively easy.
For me, it's been really quite full on and challenging in some ways. We were doing a press release for the Great Green Barn. We've added more events to the Great Green Barn. If you go to greatgreenbarn.com and look at the What's On page, you'll see there's a few more events on there this week. Then you have to put the event on sale, which I know sounds odd, but it's not all connected. And of course there's writing copy, there's doing leaflets, there's doing posters, there's putting the event on sale. We use a platform called Ticket Tailor to do our ticket selling. So it's been quite full on, and I also did a press release, and it's the first time I've done a press release for a while, let's say, maybe 6 months. And some of the local and regional newspapers around the country, but around where the Great Green Barn is, you now don't send the editor or the reporters a press release. You send them, you do it via a portal, and that has been something really, really confusing for me. And I've realised that basically you need to upload your article yourself to these websites, and then they get approved by an editor to go live. But what that means is that you need to write different articles, if you like, for each of the papers, otherwise they're all the same and they'll be rejected. So you a sort of PR person is becoming really a journalist for a local paper, and that obviously keeps staffing numbers as low as possible for the paper. So that's been a bit bizarre, really.
Isn't it strange that there are all these industries that used to be thriving industries, filled with people, lots of different jobs, lots of work, buzzing environments where people just loved their jobs. And then over time people have gone, oh, we can save money doing this. Oh, we can save money if we do that. Oh, we don't need to employ as many people now. Oh, our profits will be higher if we don't do that. Oh, greed, we'll make more money. But then people are out of work, having to do other jobs or claim unemployment. So it puts a strain on the system.
Yeah.
And then,
and this is before you even bring AI into the equation.
But I don't understand. So the money that's saved would have originally been ploughed back into the business to employ somebody.
Yeah.
The profit, sorry. But the money now just goes to increase the profits.
I think there's an awful lot of profiteering going on generally around the world at the moment.
So rather than give somebody a livelihood, we'll cream the profit off and just line our own pockets.
Yeah.
Is that it?
I mean,
that's what's happening with all these places that are cost cutting all the time.
Yeah.
Is that it?
I think it's partly it. I mean, there are certain businesses who they do need to cut their costs, and otherwise they won't carry on.
I mean, I understand overheads.
Yeah.
Overheads, price of electricity, heating premises, lighting premises, running machinery, all of that. I understand. That's why the whole thing's a mockery. Because actually, if prices came down and those companies absorbed some of the cost in their from their high profits, it would benefit down the line in so many different ways, wouldn't it?
Yeah, it would.
Society would benefit.
Yeah. So it's when you take AI into the equation, artificial intelligence, I always, and I know this has been said by many other people, but I always thought that sort of robotics and artificial intelligence would take away the mundane jobs that people had to do, and those would be the jobs that would be taken up. I didn't understand that writers and journalists and creatives were going to be the industry that is significantly losing out. The people that we rely on for entertainment, it now seems to be, and news, it now seems to be heading over to artificial intelligence and articles written by machines, and that's just insane.
But you say that. I mean, the mundane jobs employed people.
Well, no,
However, in this day and age, people don't want the mundane jobs.
No, what I meant is sort of like that artificial intelligence would sort out the the sorting of rubbish, our recycling that goes into a big recycling bin, it goes to a big factory. And I thought robotics and optics would be able to take over and do all the scanning of that stuff. We've seen the robotic arms going in, taking things off. And actually, we've got people doing that. We've got people in masks and things doing this dirty, dirty work. And I don't understand it. It's that type of job that I think should be taken over by robots, and create green jobs for other people, for people to actually do. I find this whole dichotomy of jobs at the moment really bizarre.
Well, I think it's a very, very complex subject, Paul, not one that we can resolve in Sunday chat.
I don't think it is one we can resolve in Sunday chat.
No, so let's move on. Talking about jobs, you got an email regarding jobs and hobbies this week.
Yeah.
Which was a little bit interesting.
We get an email, as I'm sure many of you do if you're signed up, from your local council. And I got this email this week, and it gives you a rundown of various things. Road closures, opportunities. And there was this thing about turning your hobby or passion into a money-making enterprise. And it really struck me as, what are we doing if we're trying to turn hobbies and passions for society, for us individually, into money-making work, basically? What about the hobbies and passions? Can't they just be hobbies and passions? And it really, I know, what we all say, that we'd love a hobby to be our main job of work, but I think the main job of work is that it then becomes work, and it stops being a hobby. It stops being a passion. And I think this is a bit of a sometimes I have this a bit with a week at the plot, in that I feel as though I'm needing to do segments for a week at the plot and film them, and sometimes I'd just rather just get on and do something and not really film it. But yeah, that whole hobby and passion thing, I'm not sure what I feel about it.
Well, it depends at the end of the day, doesn't it, on whether that passion, if you've got passion for something, you've got an energy, you've got a drive about it, yeah?
Yeah.
You are driven, you push, you do well, you enjoy it, blah, blah, blah. And there is a driver, there is a motivation to do it.
Yeah.
If you get paid for that, then that's a bonus, isn't it? But if what you were saying is, if you're doing something all the time, is it still going to remain enjoyable? Are you going to still feel passionate about it? You could say that about working in the industry that I work in. If you are passionate about helping people, and you're passionate about the customer, the end user, benefiting from what you do, that's a good driver. But the reward is seeing outcomes, good outcomes for people, and being paid.
And income, yeah.
That's what I've just said.
Yeah.
And being paid.
Yeah.
So it is still possible to retain a passion about something.
Yeah, I get that.
And to have a financial reward.
Yeah. But let's say that you're doing...
do anything over time. Do anything repeatedly over time. And you're going to have your days where you're going to feel, oh God, really? Surely, that's human.
But I think where I am is, if let's say you're working in a fast food restaurant, they call them restaurants, fast food outlet, and you're working 40 hours a week on minimum wage, and you're really good at gardening and you like gardening, and you think, oh, what I'll do is someone asks you, can you do my garden for me? And I'll pay you 25 quid to come for a couple of hours a week. And you think, oh, an extra 25 quid, oh yeah, you know. So you're doing your 40 hours in your paid job, then you're doing 2 hours to be paid in your hobby, then you're trying to do your hobby of keeping your own garden up to scratch, and then another neighbour says, can you come and do a couple of hours for me? And suddenly you might find that you're doing a 50-hour week for not a significant sort of benefit, and your hobby is actually, you don't have time for your hobby. That's sort of what I mean. You know, it's one thing if we've heard of many people who become bakers during the pandemic, and they've given up their jobs because they've been so successful baking that they have got a whole new job in baking, and they've given up their day job, if you like, because they have a new day job. But this was more about, outside of your normal working hours, earning more money. And it's, I
think also you're seeing it from the perspective of people of your age, Paul.
Yeah,
No,
knocking 60.
Our age.
Knocking 60.
I mean, I think hobbies should be hobbies.
Yeah.
I think at our age, having the energy to plough into a new venture.
Yeah, I suppose you're right, at my age.
I mean, really, no thanks. I don't want anything further. I'm happy with the little hobbies I've got, and I don't get time to engage in those enough. Although I will do come October. Yeah, you know, anyway. Thank you, Paul, for that interesting insight into your psyche and how you feel about expending energy on things that you don't always like doing, even though they're pleasurable.
Yeah, yeah.
It's true though, isn't it?
Yeah.
I can't stand gardening, but I spent quite a lot of time doing it recently.
You did, and you did a fantastic job on the front garden yesterday. Cut back the lavender, and the path is all clear, and you're happy that you've done that.
I'm very happy that I did it, but it was painful to do, and it was, and I've worked on the back garden as well. I'm waiting for the lawn seed to germinate. It looks like it might be starting to germinate.
Yeah, I noticed that this morning.
But the squirrels are digging it up. The little bastards.
If you watch A Week at the Plot, if you're on Planet Vegetaria, you may have seen already, but I potted up an oak tree. It was about a foot tall. I potted it into a deep pot. It had a good deep root, potted it into a pot. And I went down to the plot yesterday, the day before, and it's been gnawed through, both at the base of the oak, above the acorn, and below the acorn.
Right.
Just madness.
It's been eaten.
Yeah, eaten.
Yeah, they've eaten my dianthus as well.
Yeah,
They've
madness.
just nibbled, they've just eaten all the flowers off, two of them.
Two of them.
I've
never known squirrels eat the buds of dianthus, pinks, mini carnations.
I mean, I know they smell good, but, you know. So sometimes doing your hobby...
Yeah,
well,
can
it's
be
not
frustrating.
a hobby. It's not a hobby.
No, for you, that's not a hobby.
It has to be done. Work has to be done on the garden.
Yeah.
Otherwise, it will look like an overgrown jungle. You know, and I want the lawn to look good next year. Should we be putting it on the market? So, you know. So, yeah.
That's not a question, by the way. What he means is, should we decide to put it on the market?
Lest we decide to put it on the market, shall we say, Paul?
Yeah.
So it's that time of the week again.
Oh, what is it today?
Well, it's Sunday the 25th of August to the viewer.
Oh, is it?
Thank you.
Gosh, that's almost the end of August. In a week's time, will it be? Yeah, in a week's time it'll be a new month.
Yeah, right. God, going on.
That'll be autumn.
Oh God, what's this now?
That'll be autumn in a week.
Right, shush now, Paul. Honestly. Oh, I hope you've noticed that I'm back to whinging.
couldn't go on for too long. No.
Well, no.
The soup wasn't seasoned properly today.
No, it wasn't. It was totally bland. It needed salt, salt, salt.
Mine tasted fine. Yeah. What's the word, Richard?
Onolatry? Onolatry? Onolatry?
O-N-E.
Onolatry.
Onolatry.
O-N-O-L-A-T-R-Y.
Anolatry.
Anolatry. Onolatry. Anolatry. Okay, here
Is
we
it
go.
when you're absolutely desperate to go to the toilet but you can't find one?
No. Anolatry. Anolatry. I'm sure it is. If you know someone who worships donkeys, you may accuse him of anolatry.
Or her. We're not being sexist.
Well, I'm reading
them.
what it says.
Yeah.
I'm reading the book.
I'm just adding
Blame
to
the
it.
author. A Word for Every Day of the Year by Stephen Poole. From the Greek onos, which means ass, and latry, meaning excessive worship, as in idolatry.
Idolatry, yeah.
Very interesting, you say, but who has cause to use it? The mocking charge of anolatry was originally made by the ancient Romans against Jews who were supposed to worship a donkey god. Now I've heard it all. The mocking... oh no. And then Christians, the famous Alexamenos graffito shows an early Christian worshipping a crucified man with a donkey's head.
Really?
Apparently.
How bizarre.
Such religious slanders might by now be outdated, but anolatry...
Religious is outdated.
But anolatry is also more widely useful to describe excessive devotion to something foolish. So, an admiring writer said in 1924 that Friedrich Nietzsche, who died on this day in 1900, had depicted the leaders of the 19th century as engaged in a veritable anolatry or ass worship.
There we are.
It would surely strain credulity to suppose that there were no anolatries current today.
So it's a sort of negative thing. It's not a passion for donkeys. It's a negative word.
I've read the piece. I'm doing no further work on that. Thank you.
There we are.
Thank you very much, Paul. So, Paul, the time has come for the final segment of the week, which is what have we watched on television this week? Well, I'll tell you what I've watched on television. Snatches of a few programmes before falling asleep. Because I've been waking up at 4 most mornings.
He has, yeah.
And I'm finding it's really annoying.
You do generally go back to sleep, but you don't then sleep
No,
well.
I don't want to wake up at 4 in the morning.
So we watched Sunny on Apple,
which is frustrating me, to be honest.
It's frustrating him, putting him to sleep.
I'm just finding it really hard to follow.
We have watched, what else have we watched?
Time Bandits.
Which
is very light.
Begun that again. I think we're on the 3rd or 4th episode now. Episode now. Quite enjoying it. It's made me laugh out loud a few times in the last couple of episodes.
I can't say it's made me laugh out
loud.
It
made you laugh out loud twice. I counted twice. We watched an interesting programme narrated by Sylvia Sims about Alfred Hitchcock.
It was a series of interviews, wasn't it?
It was, and it's
which
interesting.
I think we've seen before, Paul.
I think we have, yeah. But it's interesting to go back and to hear some of the answers he gives, which now feel quite outdated in some ways, I think.
Well, it was in the 1960s and early 70s.
Absolutely,
Paul.
absolutely. What else have we watched?
So we also watched Wonderland, and this was all about a set of authors, specifically children's authors, in the period
sort of 1860s onwards to sort of 1940s, 1950s.
So it sort of, included authors like E. Nesbit,
C.S. Lewis.
C.S. Lewis, Lewis Carroll, J.M. Barrie, and it was kind of about their lives. And it was about how tragedies within their lives, losing children, losing family members, shaped their writing, shaped their need for escapism to perhaps another version of their childhoods.
Yeah.
So they were writing for children to enable the reader, be them adult or child, to escape to another fantasy land, another type of wonderland. And it was all about the reasons why. And it was really interesting. There was a series of 3 of them, I think, wasn't there?
Yeah, 3 or 4, yeah.
Really...
It was fascinating.
Really sad.
Yeah, so many of the sort of big writers, A.A. Milne, etc., that we know, had such tragedy in their lives. But then we were talking about this the other day as well. And, of course, in those times, we didn't have the medicines that have developed over the last 50 years, 100 years, and people did regularly die. But there did seem to be tragedies beyond natural death that seemed to haunt a lot of these writers.
Well, also there were various, wars, and World War One. There were various things happening.
Yeah.
That were causing people to, die young or kill themselves. Children died. Obviously, like Paul said, the healthcare wasn't there, and it was a real risk. Having children was a risk.
Yeah. A
risky business. But anyhow, it was all about these writers, what shaped their lives, what experiences they had had, that enabled them to create what was effectively a new genre of writing for children. And fascinating. Wonderland
on Sky Art, that was on.
Yeah.
You may remember we spoke about a series called Wonderland Gothic about 6 months ago.
Which was all about the Gothic genre.
About the Gothic genre of Wonderland. Yeah.
We watched an interview, not an interview, a programme with Dame Judy and Jay Blades.
Yeah.
Which was interesting.
Yeah, Dame Judy and Jay, the odd couple. I think that was Channel 4 or Channel 5. And really interesting. It's
interesting.
They each took each other back to where they began and sort of few places that have been seminal in their lives. And it was incredibly emotional at certain points. It really was. Jay Blades doing Hamlet when he didn't know how to read until he was about 50 is extraordinary. That moved me to tears. Yeah.
He doesn't even look 50.
No. He said he'd learnt from 50. He learnt how to read and write.
Right. Okay. Didn't catch that bit. I thought he was dyslexic.
I think he is dyslexic, which meant that he didn't learn how to read and write.
Okay. Oh, interesting. I must have fallen asleep at that point. We watched a sci-fi movie called Rubicon.
Yeah.
Which I can't even remember. I know it was some kind of thing happening on the Earth, and the people were in space.
In like a space station.
And lovely.
Yeah, it was quite interesting in terms of character and character development, but in terms of a whole film, I didn't really feel it worked.
Yeah, not sure why we got onto that film. Was it a recommendation?
I think so,
Was
yes.
it?
Yeah.
Lovely.
Yeah.
So that's it for this week's Sunday Chat.
Sunday Chat!
And just to make you aware that during September there will probably be a reduced service. Because we've got a
lot
busy
going on.
month in September, and I'm not sure that we're going to be able to fit in a weekly episode of Sunday Chat.
Sunday Chat!
Don't need to say it every time.
That's why I'm getting them in now.
Really.
Yeah.
But we'll let you know in advance.
As we always do.
Or we'll try to.
Well, yeah, try to give you as much notice as possible.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So there we are. That's it for this week.
Yeah, I'm off to the library. I've got to take a book back, and I'm picking up 2 books, which is rather lovely.
Good.
You're going to be editing.
I'll be editing and no doubt continuing with a little bit of housework.
There we are.
Lovely. So there we are. See you very soon. Take care. Bye for now.
Bye.
Bye.